Montrezl Harrell offered some sharp criticism of NBA officiating after being hit with a technical for yelling "And-1" in the second quarter.
Everybody on the bench, everybody in the arena, even the guy sitting at the scores table said, you can't do that. You can't give a guy a tech just for saying "And-1." And if I'm going to get a tech for saying "And-1," man, then they might just take me off all year, man, because I've said way worse than that and haven't been given a tech.
Stephen A., I'll let you take this. Does the NBA have an officiating problem?
Yes, they do, but I'd like to say this first. If he deserves a tech for anything, it's for that damn wardrobe. Some of his wardrobes, I mean, he deserves a technical foul for that, personally. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. I just want to throw that out there. He makes a lot of money. He can dress better than he dresses. Having said all of that, he's a hell of a player. He goes after it. I got a lot of respect for Montrezl Harrell, and he's absolutely right on this as well. It's gotten to the point where it's just too damn ridiculous. Let me tell the NBA something. I love the NBA. I've been associated with the NBA for a quarter century. I love this league. I care about it. And one of the biggest reasons that I care about it is that they've almost never failed to give the fans what we want to see. And they haven't robbed us of things that we haven't wanted to see. And this has gotten a bit excessive. When you are getting technical fouls for screaming "And-1, when you two are just jobbing at one another, and that's all, but ain't no fists being thrown or anything like that. I totally understand the notion. You don't wait for something bad to happen to sort of cut it off at the path. But these guys, give them credit for being the responsible individuals that they are, while also being highly competitive. If they want to talk junk to one another, let them talk junk to one another. When Damian Lillard hits a game-winning shot and waves goodbye to Russell Westbrook and Paul George when they were in Oklahoma City, what are you going to do? Stop the game and call him to the line and give him a technical foul because he waved goodbye to them? What are we doing here? The fact of the matter is that Devin Booker's on the floor the other night. The Phoenix Suns haven't been relevant in years. Monty Williams is doing a hell of a job. They're 15-3 in their last 18 games. They're the number 2 seed in the Western Conference. They're going up against the Los Angeles Lakers and LeBron James. And their star gets ejected for what? For what? You got Donovan Mitchell last night in Philadelphia. You know, you're making calls all over the place that they got question marks about. You're going to throw him out of the game in overtime? You're literally going to impact the game by throwing out the star in overtime. That's no regard for the fans. Let's just call it what it is. That's no regard for the fans. And yes, they're not in attendance right now because of COVID-19, but they're watching the games at home. It was important for you to make sure you had at least a 70-game season, as Max Kellerman has pointed out on several occasions, so you can make sure you get your local dollars, your local television revenue. That means you want people to watch in their locales, in their specific local locations. That's what you wanted to do. If you're the Phoenix Suns, if you're the Phoenix market, yes, you ended up winning the game. But that ain't the point. What if you had lost? Why would you sit up there and throw Devin Booker out over something so innocuous? It's gotten to a point now where the officials, and I speak to officials, and I know a few of them, and I do understand that some players go overboard, that players are not totally innocent here. Some of the things that they say to these guys, particularly with the money that they're getting paid these days, they don't give a damn about the fines. It doesn't affect them. They think they can say anything they want to officials from time to time. I get it. I understand it. But at the end of the day, you ain't the game. You're a part of the game. The players are the primary commodities in the game. And if you're a fan and you're watching, we want to see them play. We want to see them play. We don't want them getting ejected because you as the official had an attitude. We don't want them getting ejected because you a bit salty after you woke up on this side of the bed today. We don't want to see them getting ejected and don't comprehend as to why that is because they whispered something in your face or whatever the case may be. We're watching to see them play. And you are taking that away from us with the excessive amount of officiating, the foul calls, the technical fouls handed out. You are robbing the fan when you do that. It needs to stop. They need to get thicker skin. That's what officiating is all about. Thicker skin. If you could tolerate it years and years and years ago when you were building the game, over the previous 2 to 3 decades, you should be able to tolerate it now. What's up with all of this softest putty nonsense that we're dealing with where you can't take a damn thing and the fans get robbed of seeing the great players we want to see? It has to stop. find a way to keep them on the court so we can watch them play. That's what we want.
I co-sign that general sentiment. Everyone's too thin-skinned. I co-sign that general sentiment. And NBA officials are throwing players out of game for stuff that does not rise to that level, in my opinion, although you don't know exactly what they said most of the time. But let's take this on a case-by-case basis. Devin Booker got thrown out the other day. That seemed very quick to me, and ticky-tack. Donovan Mitchell got thrown out, and Donovan Mitchell is known as a high-character guy. But even high-character guys have bad nights. And he had played well, and his team was winning, and then down the stretch in the fourth quarter, he got locked up, made a lot of bad decisions on offense, and it cost his team, and they wound up going into overtime and losing. He gets thrown out of the game, but he's consistently, it's not like it's just one incident. He's being demonstrative. I understand that a little bit more. Montrezl Harrell was a reputation throwout. That's all that was. I mean, it is absurd to throw a player out for saying and-1. Or to tee him up for saying and-1. Sorry. That's absurd. Are we joking here? But Montrezl Harrell has a rep because he's an instigator and he's a dude who plays, a little psychological warfare on the court. That goes for opponents, that goes for officials, so his reputation preceded him and he got a quick one. But it's not an excuse. You can't, to tee a guy up for saying and-1 is a mockery of what an official's supposed to do. But Montrezl Harrell, that's the price you pay for being that kind of an antagonist on the court. So I'd say Devin Booker, no good. Donovan Mitchell, even though the circumstances, Stephen A., I agree with you. You try to let that go, but I understand it more. Montrezl Harrell, that's just ridiculous.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.